The H-1B is getting more competitive as we speak. Look at the data. 17%. That's your chance of getting selected in the H-1B lottery. Now, this year's percentages was slightly higher because USCIS cracked down on a scam of multiple applications sent in by the same applicants. But with that said, now that they are being treated as the same application, success rates will still continue to go down in the long run because more and more people are still entering the US. With hundreds and thousands of students coming in, every H-1B has been more in demand every year. Now, the common solutions that you would find online are as follows. Day-1 CPT. You enroll in a program, you start studying essentially again, and certain universities allow you to work while you're studying, full time that is. Now, many students obviously go for it in order to buy more time and get access to the H-1B lottery a couple more times. But there are cons, and the cons are that, of course, number one con, Trump is coming. And that is, he might crack down tomorrow on Day-1 CPT and you might actually face major issues with this. Number two, it of course weakens your visa. It helps basically the visa officers in future understand whenever you go for other petitions or visa applications that you tried to overstay and you found a way out essentially. Of course, number three, this also causes a bad university to be on your resume. You don't want to mess up your resume with a bad university name, and top universities never offer this. And finally, number four, you still pay for this degree. So it's still a massive expense that you're incurring and you're not really moving anywhere further. You're still stuck right over here, keeping on applying for the H-1B. You're not moving further in the race. So that's why, my friend, I don't recommend the number one solution that you'll find online, which is Day-1 CPT. In certain cases, when you're pushed into a corner and you have nothing to resort to, I understand that you would go for it, and I would also understand that, if I had to go for it, I would. But at the end of the day, this is not the right solution. And if you're watching this a little bit in advance before your STEM OPT deadline is hitting and you have a little bit of time, maybe, or even your OPT deadline, you have a little bit of time, there's other alternatives that you can look into. Now, I'll tell you what this video is not about. Number two common solution, moving to a dependent visa. I understand that certain individuals, very few individuals, might actually be able to do that. Let's say you have a spouse who has their H-1B, then you can move on to the H-4 and you can get an EAD if they have the I-140 approved. That's a very, very rare scenario, by the way. And even then, Trump might actually target this scenario because he already tried to target this. Obama actually implemented this, that you guys will be able to work on H-4 if the I-140 is approved for the primary applicant. But this is something that has been on Trump's target for quite a long time now. Number three solution, which this video is not about, is the H-1B cap exempt visa. I know a lot of people tell you, hey, there's some cap exempt H-1Bs, you can go forward from there. You can try to work in these particular organizations and they can sponsor you for the H-1B cap exempt version. Well, my friend, the problem with that is once you get into these organizations, number one, the pay is extremely bad. So the whole point of coming to the US and basically starting working over there, staying away from your family, paying massive taxes, is going to be defeated when you go into these organizations. Number two, it's very difficult to move out of this regime of the H-1B cap exempt visa because then you cannot exactly change to or transfer to an H-1B visa for an industrial position, basically in the industry, wherein you would be able to work along with those workers which are not capped. So usually companies don't want to hire you all of a sudden, sponsor you, because it's a major expense. They know that you can't work even a single day without that sponsorship. So what is our solution? My solution, my friend, is that you sign up on YMGrad.com, you create an account, and you will get in your email an EB101 cheat sheet. Now, why do you need this cheat sheet? The reason is that, my friend, we're going to focus on the O1 visa. The O1 visa not only offers you a direct pathway to an EB1 green card, which, by the way, you can get in 2 years, even as an Indian or Chinese national, it is also merit-based. That means that, yes, you do have to show that you're extraordinary, and you might feel that it's a bit too much. I don't know if I have all this for my profile. But the truth is 99% of the people that I work with, they did not have any of this on their profile, but they were still able to make it to the O1, to the EB1 in many cases after building up their profile, which is a very normal thing. Almost everyone has to build up their profile. No one is born with these things. No one already has research papers, memberships, critical capacity. All these things are built up over time. And this year itself, I'm happy to tell you that 100 plus people we have done with our attorney who did not believe that they had the profile for it, but when they went for it and they built their profile, many people in 6-7 months had their O1 visas in their hand. EB1s also in a little longer time, but yes, they did as well. So let me give you the step-by-step pathway that we use. First, of course, the perks. No cap. It's not lottery based. There's no cap. You can apply any time of the year. Apply today if you want, as long as your profile is ready. Unlimited extensions. You first get the O1 for 3 years. After that, extended for 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year each. and there's really no limit. You can extend it as many times as you want. The concept of working for multiple employers is also possible, by the way, because you can set up your own company through which you can serve multiple organizations on a C2C basis. Of course, this also means that you can have your own business, your own company with the O1. And of course, this is the fastest pathway to the green card, the EB1, which is not only cheap, unlike the EB5, which requires you to invest $1 million, but it is quick, and it also improves your profile while you do this. Can you bring your dependents with you on this visa? Absolutely. Your spouse, your children can be with you on the O3 visa. And some of you ask me, what if I don't have a sponsoring organization? Well, in that case, you can actually create one yourself. Sponsoring yourself for the O1 is not directly possible, but if you have an LLC in between that sponsors you, we've already done this for 6-1 candidates this year. It is possible as long as you show that you have a genuine organization which is going to be performing genuine activities in the US. And as long as you genuinely plan to work, I don't care if you're working with Apple, Google, Amazon after that, but as long as you genuinely plan to work, we can show that the C2C organization exists. So like I said, you might not think you're extraordinary, but I'm here to prove otherwise. So you can sign up on YMGrad.com to get that guide. Next, let's talk about the eligibility. Now, these are the major pointers that you see on your screen. These are some of the pointers that you have to prove in order to prove that you are extraordinary in your particular field. So the answer is, what if you're not even qualifying for one? Where do we start building up your profile? The answer is from research papers. This is generally the cheapest option to move forward. And the reason why we start with research papers is because you can build on top of it and get many other requirements fulfilled just through these. I'll tell you about how you can start doing research or adding research papers to your profile. That's something that I'll cover in 2 minutes. But before that, let me tell you how you satisfy the pointers. If you have the research papers, my friend, you're by default satisfying point number 6, as long as you publish them in top level journals. Next thing, if you start getting citations on your research papers, which is very well possible, by the way, that you basically rack up citations. And it's really not just, waiting and, doing nothing about it. It's really a game of marketing your paper, and essentially, we can also help you with that. You get the citations essentially, and people start using your work. With that said, my friend, point number 5 also gets satisfied. Specifically, you would have scientific contributions of major significance if, let's say, a couple hundred people or just 7,500 people are using your work as well. After that, if you have single authorship, point number 3 many times gets satisfied if you get deep citations, and on top of it, maybe a little bit of newspaper publishing about you here and there as well. This satisfies point 3 as well, by the way. Based on your research papers, citations, all this that you've done essentially till now, right, you can actually go ahead and apply for a couple of memberships, such as the IEEE Senior Membership. Then there's, other memberships such as the ACM Senior Membership. Now, while some of these have certain requirements in terms of experience, etc., most of you guys would actually qualify for at least a couple of these memberships. And that, my friend, satisfies point number 2. But remember, you actually have to use these memberships in some form. So we can actually do this. A lot of these memberships allow you to volunteer and be on a panel where you're judging other people's papers which are going to be published. Now, if you do that, and this is a free thing that you get to do essentially as a part of those memberships, you can actually go ahead and build up your judging criteria as well, which is going to be point number 4. Just without really thinking about your profile, I've told you about how the first 5 points can be satisfied. And I'm not even considering this. Maybe you already work in a good company, you have a high salary. If you're in the top 10 percentile of your location, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics data, essentially, you may be eligible to show that. And then you may be eligible to show a critical role if your employer is, compliant with you, if he works with you, if he's cooperative with you. Then in that case, that is also possible in many cases. Now, I don't want to go too deep into exactly how exhibits are attached and how petitions are built, but this is something we're doing on a daily basis. So if you would like to learn more as to how and exactly what the strategy would be for your case, you can reach out to me on WhatsApp and we'll take it from there. But first, Yash, you didn't answer the question. All of this is too much. How do I even start with research papers? I know that's the first step, and there's a lot more citations, all these things. Well, number 1, my friend, the free method, and if you're genuinely looking to actually do the work and really put in the effort, you should look at the discussions page on YMGrad.com. It's completely free. You can connect with other people. You can post about whatever you want to research on, and then you guys can come together and basically start doing this research. Number 2, you can look at research groups on YMGrad. These will offer you assistance till you get published. Publishing is guaranteed in top level journals, IEEE, Springer, elsewhere. You work with top level, essentially, researchers from the US, more or less, for the most part, who already know exactly what they're doing, and they support you in your research. Publishing is guaranteed in top level journals like IEEE, Springer. You get citations much more easily over here because the quality of the work is good enough. So all of that sort of pulls together the whole petition. Now the research group's facility is paid, but it gets the job done beautifully. Otherwise, you can go for the free alternative that I mentioned. Let's talk about the filing fee for the O1 visa. It's $530 for a small organization, $1055 for a large one, and if you want the output in 15 calendar days, then the premium processing fee of $2,805 on top of it goes as well. And what about the processing times? Well, like I said, 4 to 6 months essentially if you're going with the standard timeline, but if you choose to go with premium processing, it can only be 15 days for the additional fee. I know this was a lot to take in, and you probably have a lot of thinking to do on whether even this pathway is for you. But what I can tell you is that if you move forward on the O1, you will go to the EB1 hopefully in the next 2 years. And on top of that, you'll be on a stable visa type, which does not get impacted on a daily basis. You're not really scared when you're going to bed tomorrow what kind of an executive order might be passed. And H-1B people actually have had that time in the US. So I'm sure that some of you might actually relate with me on that. And the same process works for EB1 as well. The requirements are, by the way, the exact same, even for the EB1A, which is self-petition, by the way. So don't wait. If you're just thinking about it, make sure you still sign up with us on YMGrad so that you get the free cheat sheet and you can essentially go over it for your profile essentially. And I hope you like this video. Make sure you share this with the people who need to know. Subscribe to the channel. You can follow me on Instagram. You can connect with me on WhatsApp. All of those facilities are available. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you all the best.